Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wilde, and welcome to the Spaces Between. I hope you guys are having just a good old day. Well, as much as you can, anyway. And then I hit a button, and of course, I have to do something, right? I can't not do something. Isn't that the way it works? Because, yes, I have to. Yes. So, let's see here. Let me turn this up just a wee bit. Ick, don't look at me. Blah. It's been just kind of a crazy week. Hello, Jules. How are you? Um, yeah, crazy times, right? Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say other than yeah, crazy times. We are in them, and it's been just a short period of time since we lost Mr. Brent, and I got to thinking, now's a good time to kind of talk about grief, if you will. Um, just because I have talked about grief a few times, and how it is normal for us to feel grief, if you will, because it is. Grief is normal, and for anybody who says otherwise, they can just you know take the proverbial long walk off of the short pier, because um, yeah, it's normal. Because yeah, grief is normal, and when we grieve, it's not always just about the loss of a loved one. Just so you guys know, it can be the loss of many things, and um, it really is. It can be the loss of a job. It could be loss of a career. It could be loss of um, gosh darn. I sorry. There we go. I was in the wrong place. So I'm streaming through Rumble live, just so you guys know, and it's casting to other places, which is awesome. And in the process, it we've got some new things. So yes, and it's fun. So, but yeah, we're talking about grief. But before I start, I want to do just a commercial. So yeah, because it helps me cover some costs. So yes, so which is funny. So blackout coffee is one here. So you all know that I don't start my day without two things: standing for what I believe in, which I do, and so standing for what I believe in, and a strong cup of coffee that does the same. Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's why I drink blackout coffee, a 100% American coffee that is unapologetically patriotic, pro 2A, and anti woke. They don't just roast incredible coffee, they stand for the very values that this country was built on: God, family, and freedom. Every bag is roasted right here in right in Florida, and is shipped straight to your door. No corporate bag garbage, no virtue signaling, just real coffee for real Americans. If you're like me and need to hit the ground running, try their Morning Reaper medium roast. It's bold, smooth, and kicks like a mule. Or if you're into something darker, like Founding Fathers Dark, grab their 1776 blend. It's rich, fearless, and roasted to perfection. Support a company that actually gives a damn about this country. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/rumble and use code RUMBLE, RUMBLE, for 20% off your first order. Blackout Coffee, wake up, stand up, and never back down. Yes, that's a good one. Um, I I drink a lot of coffee, you guys. You guys know that. hmm And then, so yes. So yes, coffee, coffee. These, yeah, you guys know I drink a lot of coffee. So I'll probably do another commercial here before the end of my show. Um, so yes, coffee. Covfefe. Now, yes, as you could have said gods, I suppose. But yes. As I slurp my coffee, try not to spill it on my front. So, yeah, let's scrunch down there. Yeah, whatever. All right, so grief. Yeah, grief is a big one. And when it comes to grief, there are many stages, and depending on your school of thought, there are more. There's a couple. There are some people say there's four stages. Some say five. Some say seven. I tend to subscribe to the seven stages of loss, personally, or grief. Um, and that's because um, I guess I feel like that's just the way of it. Um, and and I'll go over them. And I'll mention where the four and the seven kind of, or the five and the seven kind of diverge. Now, when we talk about grief, I want you to understand that grief is not a straight line, right? It is not. It is a bumpy, twisty, windy path of trying to find acceptance and understanding, and often it's more like a stumbling cha-cha rather than anything else, because it takes time, and it's I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is that there is no right or wrong way to grieve a thing, whether it's a loss of a loved one, loss of a job, loss of a treasure. And when I say treasure, I mean like your favorite thing. Maybe it's your favorite coffee cup. I'm just using that as an example. Or your new phone is the thing, right? Or maybe it's a loved pet. Not that pets are necessarily a thing, but you know what I'm saying. To me, pets are family. Um, or maybe it's your favorite pair of jeans are just, they don't fit anymore and you have to get rid of them, right? Because that happens. And so that loss of a thing or loss of whatever, um, maybe it's a lost opportunity. That can be a cause for grieving. I mean, 100%. That's absolutely worth grieving, because when we lose something, it can cause a sense of grief, or it can also make us remember a sense of grief, or a situation where we grieved more or less than we should have. If you understand what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and start. Now I'm going with the Thousand Branches Wellness, Seven Stages of Grief, because that's the one I feel resounds the most with me, and that's what we're going to go through. And as we do that, there's another one that goes. It's the Kessler perspective is the five or six stages, um, and they're a little different. Um, but first, I wanted to, just like I do on many of my shows, I wanted to define grief, because you know. Often we don't really know what that means. What is grief? So grief is a natural, multifaceted response to a loss. That's just it, a loss. And it encompasses the intense emotional, physical, and psychological reaction experienced after losing someone or something that was deeply valued. Um, just on a light note, I can feel grief after my coffee cup is empty. That's all there is to it. And that can happen. Grief can happen often, or is most closely associated with the death of a loved one, although it can be happen with a significant change, like end of a relationship or divorce, job loss or career shifts, major changes in health or chronic diagnosis, or a loss of independence or physical ability. So, for those of you who don't know me very well, I have some disabilities, and one of those is fibromyalgia, and which comes with a pretty intense level of pain occasionally. And I also have a degenerative disc disease, which means that the discs or the cushions in my spine um, aren't very healthy sometimes. They're not very healthy at all. And sometimes they cause me pain, I should say. And as a result, my pain levels can be mixed and variable. And that has caused me to not be on air sometimes, and has caused me to not do stuff because, sometimes it just hurts. And pain is exhausting, right? And it has been a process to understand and learn how to deal and manage my pain. And it has caused me to cancel some things that I wanted to do, sometimes at the last minute. Um, and it's been frustrating because it's like, hey, no, I want to go do this thing. And I'm ready to go do. And then as I'm getting ready to do, something happens, and I am just basically crushed by the pain or the waves of exhaustion because even though I really want to do the thing, um, I've been dealing with the pain for so long that I am just completely wiped out because I am managing my pain right now drug free. I'm doing it holistically and homeopathically, and that means I'm not on any of the opioids or any of that stuff. And it's an adventure because I was on all of those things, and we were moving towards a surgery, and a couple of years ago, and then my younger son, who is now 31, had a really major health thing happen. He had multiple strokes. This is his health thing, and so my surgery got put on hold, and as a result, and it never got put back on the agenda because, well, it just didn't. So, and I didn't go back on the medications, and so I've been trying to manage without doing the drugs, las drogas, and it's been occasionally okay, and occasionally really hard. Yeah, really hard. And so as a result, some days I just can't do, and it's frustrating because I like to do. Some days more than others, but anyways. So there's been some grief as a result, and it's hard because they're the things that I really want to do. Sometimes I can't do, and it's that change, that loss, that inability has been frustrating. So that's just a grief or a loss of self that I've had to deal with, and a transition that I've had to deal with that just was unanticipated. And so common reactions to grief, just so you guys know, like there's an emotional one. It's like profound sadness, anger, guilt, loneliness, numbness. The physical side, fatigue, changes in appetite, difficulty sleeping, body aches. That's a grief thing. Cognitive, there's difficulty in concentrating, mental fog, frequent thoughts about the loss. And then behavioral is withdrawing socially, changing daily routines, or restlessness. That's just some common reactions to grief. Yeah, so think all of those along with, the mental health issues that often go with pain. Yeah, I had all of that too. So two thumbs way down because, yeah, I was miserable. And so finding that I don't know, it was hard. And I'm doing better now. And I do recommend therapy. I had acupuncture. Oh man, acupuncture. I believe in acupuncture. It is amazing. For those who have not tried it, highly recommend it. Just saying, when it comes to chronic illnesses and disorders and such. Um, so when that kind of thing. Really, really try it. Just saying. Really, really. It's a pretty good thing, pretty big deal, and absolutely worth it. So back to um, talking about the grief process, though. In general, when it comes to like a loss, though, and that's what most people think about when we talk about grief, is what does it mean um, when when it comes to you know in the process of grief, or the you know the different steps, because yes, they are there, they are real. Well, okay. Do, do, do. And gonna hold on, doing the thing. So Julia, you are in YouTube. If you wanted to pin that. Oh no, I think I can pin there. So Rumble has a new feature. Just real quick before I start the stages of grief. Nope. Um, Sounded really excited to talk about grief, but Rumble has a new feature where I think I can take callers. So I pinned it, and it should work. We'll see. So yes, if there is someone who would like to call in, you are more than welcome to. It should show up somewhere. Yes. All right. Stages of grief. So it's an emotional journey, right? Just like any life is an adventure, the grief is just one more chapter in that journey. And remember, it's not linear. There are steps, and you can move back and forth between, because you might take two steps forward and you're like, I'm not ready, and you go back, because sometimes there are things that pop up that cause you to remember something, and that's normal. It's normal, man. And because it's normal, don't allow yourself to get all Twitter pated and upset and freaked out or angry, or what have you, because of it. Allow yourself that healing process, because it is a process and there are multiple steps. So the first step, or first stage, is often shock. That what happened? Um, and poof, is it just a shocking thing? That initial reaction to a loss, and it's kind of a defense mechanism, if you will, and it helps us to be protected from our emotions, because often we can be extraordinarily overwhelmed by our emotions, really, truly. And um, during this stage, we can be detached from reality. We can be quite numb. We can be just kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this right now. I'm not dealing with it. There's no way this could happen. I can't. No. Nope. Not real. It's that whole shock, if you will. And if it's a legitimate thing. And it's frustrating. But because you're feeling numb and detached from reality, it's just our body's natural way of coping with an immediate impact of loss, that shock. And don't deny yourself that moment of shock, or that amount of shock, because it is normal. um, and allow yourself time to process the news, because that's what that shock is for, is a space for your body and yourself, your emotions, your heart, your id, to process the news, whatever it is, that shocky feeling. Surround yourself with supportive friends or family, who can provide comfort. This is when you kind of retreat to the bedroom, build yourself a pillow fort, and just hide. I mean, it's um, normal, if you will. You can engage in calming activities like deep breathing, yoga, gentle walks to ground yourself. These are things that are kind of meditative to help you get through the shock, if you will. Hugs are good. This is the when hands on, the comfort is good. Now, that being said, not everybody likes that hands on feeling. They really don't. So be aware that if someone doesn't like being touched, they won't like being touched. So, but that's okay. Um, it's okay. But for those that do, hugs are good. Calming activities, coloring is good. Painting is good. Meditative cleaning. This doesn't mean like tear your house apart and do the whole house clean, so that kind of thing. But it means like just sweep the floor, vacuum the floor, the daily activities that are somewhat meditative. The next step is denial, because often when we get through the shock part, we're like, no, that could not have happened. I do not believe it. No, nope. Mm-mm. It's like when we see someone famous online and the death announcement is like, no, that could not have happened. No, nope. I have to confirm that by a third party or fourth party or fifth, and we just refuse to accept the reality of that potential loss. Just like, no, nope, not happening. How many of you guys have actually done that? We see the death announcement. You're like, no, that's a joke. No way. That's not possible. I have. I totally have. And because it's like, no, that's just not possible. That couldn't have happened. And that's normal, by the way. And it's a denial. Um, and so that's one thing, though, right? And I have gone through and have checked it out, and I'm like, holy cow, that really happened. And it's like, whoa. It's a little bit of shock then. So back and forth, back to the shock for that particular kind of thing. But it's like, wow, that really happened. But it wasn't necessarily someone who was close to me, and that's okay. Now, back to that though, is if this is someone who's close to me and I'm shocked, I'm like, oh my gosh, that person really died. Oh my gosh. Then I share or talk to someone I trust, a trusted friend or a loved one, and this therapy is good. I am a big believer in therapy, guys. It's a real thing. It's great purpose. It's extraordinarily helpful. Even for those of you who like, I don't believe in therapy, I'll just go talk to my friends. Well, here's the thing. Your friends, yes, they're there for you because they're friends, right? But what if your friends are busy? What if they don't have time? Because they have their own lives too, right? They have their own stuff to deal with. That's real. But if you make an appointment with a therapist, sure, it's a third party. Well, here's the thing. It's a third party who has zero vested interest in whatever you're talking about, other than they are interested in you, right? They just want to talk to you. So, on that note, they are setting aside a time, a specific block of time, period, whatever your schedule is, just to talk to you about whatever it is you want to talk about. They're not judging you. They're not giving you advice. They're just there to listen and help you direct your emotions and your feelings to help you work through whatever it is you're trying to work through. They're not taking a side. They're not telling you you're an asshole. They're not doing anything like that. They're just helping you. And that's why therapy is good. Also, if the relationship parts, they don't share any of that information. Now, friendship goes bad or goes sour, they might gossip about you to somebody else. So therapy is really good. So when it comes to denial, how to cope? Well, You can journal. I do recommend journaling, which is really, really good. You can always, if you do talk to a trusted friend, make sure they are really, truly trusted. And gradually, this does help you come to terms with the reality of the situation. Journaling is often really good because it helps us get our emotions out and our feelings out and that sense of loss out. And often it helps us get the next step out on paper and keeps it from being pent up inside of us. That next step is anger, by the way. And because, man, do we get some anger sometimes? Because in stage 3, anger is a natural response to that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness when we lose someone. It's like, um, why? Why did that person? What happened? Why? Why did that happen? What could I have done differently? Oh my gosh! And it's just a way of expressing the pain and frustration that comes with loss. It's like, well, what if you had just done this instead, or why weren't you doing the thing? Here locally, we call it the 100 days of dangerous driving or whatever during the summer, and we've had. And it's just really truly, it's like the 100 days of summer. It's the busiest days, summer or driving days of the year, and we've had almost 40 fatalities, and it's like barely 2 weeks in. It's ridiculous. And here locally, in just one weekend, I mean, since Friday, we've had 2 head-on collisions where 2 of the fatalities were not wearing seatbelts. And it's like, why weren't they wearing seatbelts? Just put on your seatbelt, for crying out loud. It's not that hard. Put it on. So there may be some anger towards people that weren't wearing their seatbelts. I know there's anger right now for people who just aren't driving correctly. It's like, slow down, stop passing, do this, do that. There's a lot of anger towards people not driving correctly on our roads right now. And so people are taking it out on social media. And social media is such an interesting place, mind-blowing. I would recommend journaling rather than taking it out on social media. Yeah. But journaling or writing it out is good no matter where you put it, I suppose. But yeah, that anger is a natural step to grief. It really is. Especially like if it's a loss of a job or something. Yeah, you can be angry. Pretty darn normal. Really, really is. Um, and that anger though that you're feeling, you might feel it towards yourself, it might be towards other people, it might be towards the situation, all the above. um, it's amazing how that anger might come out, and if you bottle it up, oh, it'll make you sick. So don't. This is why journaling is good. You need to find some way to cope with that anger that is healthy for you, like physical exercise, some sort of creative expression. Some people paint or draw, and this is why therapy again is really, really good, or maybe a support group, or some way to work through those emotions in a constructive way, a way that is good for you rather than something that is going to harm you. Because bottling up that anger and that frustration, man, that's not good. It's going to make you sick, and that's not good. It really isn't. Stage 4 is bargaining. Now this one is also frustrating because often we get stuck in that what if loop, or the if only loop. It's like, because you're like, well, bargaining, it's like making deals or promises in an attempt to regain control or even reverse the loss, excuse me. So it's like, you're trying to negotiate a different outcome, if you will, like in a loss of a situation, especially like a job loss, if you will. or an eviction, like if you're being evicted from your home. There's been a lot of those I've noticed lately, and it's crazy to me. Um, don't know why it's happening, but it is crazy. So it's that trying to negotiate a different outcome, but the landlord says, "Nope, I just want you out," and you're like, "But what if I do?" And no, mm-mm. You understand that bargaining is normal and it's a normal reaction to a loss. Acknowledge your feelings because your feelings are legitimate through all of this grief. You have legitimate feelings. You have a right to them. You really, really do. Um, Try to express them in a safe environment, such as therapy or support group again, to help you move through the stage. Again, journaling, very, very good place to put your grief feelings and your grief bargaining. But when you're in a situation, like maybe you've lost someone, well, what if I had done this? Would they still be alive? Or if only someone so and so had done this, they'd still be alive. Or, what if that? Or maybe if I had done, or what if, and maybe if, and so you get stuck in that what if loop, and all it does is get you spun up into more frustration, and you kind of go back to that anger, and it doesn't really help you to heal. It just gets you spun into that what if. And because you get stuck in that one what if loop, it it gets stuck, and there's and it just causes more anger and frustration, and because you're stuck, and it's hard to move on to the next stage, which, even though we don't want it, it's kind of a little bit necessary. And then, because stage 5 here is depression. And some of the other stages get skipped and we go straight to depression because we have to go there first and then come back to the other ones. Because sometimes depression comes before anger, and then anger happens, and then we go back to depression. And like, again, it's not a straight line. It is a bouncing around, and moving around a little bit, but it's normal. So depression is that really deep sense of sadness that often follows a realization of a full impact of loss. That happens. And it's common to feel just extraordinarily overwhelmed or hopeless or disconnected during this stage. So for any of you who have ever felt depressed about something, is normal. And it happens. And it's hard not to wallow in it, because sometimes you're just in that deep morass of mud and and frustration and sadness, and it just feels like that's where you need to be. We're going to wallow in it for a while, because you know what? This is just, I need to be here, because this is my comfortable spot, because I am so sad and I just don't know how to move on beyond the sad, because I'm sad, for crying out loud. This is where I am. I'm sad. Um, and I don't want to be anything but sad, because I miss the thing or the person or the situation or whatever. I'm just sad, and I'm not ready to move on, and I'm just sad. And a lot of people get stuck right here in this depression, and they can't get out of it, because this is their thing. They just can't envision anything beyond this spot, because the loss of whatever it was or whomever it was is so strong and so prevalent in the mind that they just can't get past it. And it's normal, but it can be overcome. Often the way to do that, though, is you need support from your loved ones or mental health professionals, or some other way to find comfort, or to find your new joys, or to find the joys again, if you will, because they are there. It just is difficult, and it's going to be different, and that different is okay. And it's okay to feel sad. And this depression, this miserable feeling, this uncomfortable feeling, this sadness, it will pass. You just have to let it pass. And it might take a little support, but it'll be okay. Okay? Stage 6 here is testing. And this testing stage is where you begin to experiment with ways of coping life without the loved one or the thing, whatever it is. And it can often involve testing out different strategies to find out what works best. So for people, and I've seen this in like young people who have lost a parent, for instance, the coping strategy might be suddenly dressing or acting in a way that is absolutely opposite to whatever the parental figure might have been would have accepted. Like, well, you're not here to stop me from doing the things, so I'm going to do all the things and blah, and check it out and see who I am. I'm reinventing myself and blah. Okay, well, some of that's normal. Some of it isn't. It just got to be careful. You need to just be aware of what you're doing. Just some of it is you need to be open to trying new things, yes, and exploring different coping mechanisms, yes. So it might be joining a different support group, or trying mindfulness practices, or setting goals, small goals, or trying to build a different sense of normalcy. That doesn't mean, well, I was a conservative housewife before and now I'm going to be a stripper. Two different things, right? Or, you know, or I'm just going to jump into a next relationship because I can't imagine being single ever. So if you lose someone or something, often you need to figure out who you are before you can move on to the next relationship, right? You have to heal, right? So this testing stage doesn't mean total reinvention. It means like learning who you are. That's what that is. And then stage 7 here is acceptance. And it's the final stage of grief where people come to terms with the loss and find a way to move forward. It doesn't mean forgetting at all. No, not at all. You don't forget. And it doesn't mean that you're okay with the loss. It just means you're finding a way to live with it. It means that you've learned how to focus on your self-care, and you've managed to find a way to keep the connections with your loved ones. And you've found a way to honor the memory of your lost loved ones. And you found a way to create closure. And that's a good thing. But that doesn't mean that it's the end, right? It just means that you've found a way to move forward, that you've created this path to move forward. And grief is just not a straight line. So you can find meaning within grief by making a connection in gratitude or your daily life. You can find you can honor your loved one through actions or values or memories. A lot of people, if they lose someone because of a significant illness or a tragedy, for instance, they will create like a foundation or something to promote that loved one or in memory of the loved one, that kind of thing. And sometimes people find a sense of purpose that grows out of the loss. Like, you know what? This was not an okay thing, and I am going to do something to stand up and show support in this thing, to show that this is how we need to change our society to make sure that this thing doesn't happen again. And that's how we've had so many laws come out about, or things like the seatbelt law, for instance. That's one of them. Or car seats and how those have changed. Let's see what else has happened. Like airbags. That's a big one. The way cribs for babies have been structured. A lot of the safety devices for children. The poison hotline number is one of them. I mean, stop and think about all of the aids and things to help with raising children. That's a really big one if you stop and think about it. And often meaning in the loss of a loved one is not something large or dramatic. It's often found in those small, ordinary, everyday moments, in the hug of a loved one, the children or siblings or something like that, or in a picture or a photograph, or you know, um, something like that. It's not like a big thing. It's often just a little bitty one. You know, it's often people are reminded of a loved one by smell. You know, the smell of perfume, or the a cologne, or cigar, or pipe tobacco, or I know that, like, my grandmother had a specific type of lotion that she always used on her hands, I think it was, or facial cream. I don't remember exactly. And I have a couple of her handkerchiefs still. And I keep them in a Ziploc bag, for crying out loud, because they still smell like my grandma. And um, and there's just certain things that occasionally I need that kind of little touchstone, if you will. It's like, oh, that's grandma still, and I can still feel her a little bit, and it still gives me that warm, fuzzy feeling a little bit, and I'm not ready to let that go, you know. And if I smell it out in public, I still, I think back, it's like, oh, that's grandma, you know, or or my mom's perfume, even though she's still living. Every so often I'll smell it out in public, and it's like, oh, that's my mom, or my dad, like Old Spice, or that kind of thing. And it's just different things will trigger different memories, right? Um, and it's amazing how our mind works, and how different things that we encounter will help us to remember different different things in our past. Now, some of those things can be quite horrible, and I know this personally, and I get it. But often, some of those things that we remember, those little things that trigger us a little bit, wow, they're like amazing moments, right? The Not necessarily a little deja vu, but they're like these little bitty pop up, peaceful, like, oh, that's what that was, or oh, that's someone cared, or it's like a little touchstone of remembrance. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I just don't know how else to say other than that's a good thing. And it's like a memory of love and affection. And, like, I still remember the first time I heard my grandmother swear. I was trying to be extra helpful. We were going to a potluck dinner, and let's see, because my grandmother was extraordinarily Lutheran. I grew up extraordinarily Lutheran, even though I'm not now. Um, Extraordinarily Lutheran. And I think I was carrying a potato salad or a cake. I don't remember which. I think it was a potato salad. And there wasn't a lid on the bowl. And I was carrying it, and I shouldn't have been. But I was trying to be helpful, and I tripped on the stairs and I dropped it. And upside down. Of course, because everything lands upside down, right? And she said, "Damn it, Danny." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot." And I knew I was in trouble. And because she said the D word, and all I could think is like, "Grandma, do you know what that means?" Because I knew my dad had said it. Because my dad would bang his thumb with the hammer every so often, and or stub his toe, or try, if we had livestock, or some pigs would get out, or oh my stars, if something would happen. And oh, But yeah, or the first time she said shit, it was in front of me. I was like, "Oh, Grandma, do you know what that word means?" But yes, and it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's amazing the things that we remember that cause the warm fuzzies when we go back and start dealing with the grief. And now they take time. I will not tell you that they are fast because they're not, unfortunately. Um, and and they are occasionally extraordinarily slow, and they will sometimes just bring a tear to your eye and bring sometimes the anger back. You're like, I wish that hadn't happened. Because like with my grandmother, she had cancer, and during her treatment, they put a shunt in so they could treat her directly because her veins kept collapsing, and they put the shunt in wrong, and it went into her lung rather than into her vein. And so she received a lot of her chemo treatments directly um, into her lung, which it totally destroyed one of her lungs, gave her COPD, and put her on oxygen, the whole 9 yards, which really, really made her sick, like really, really sick, right? Well, of course, she refused to treat to sue the doctor because he was a good Christian man, and it was frustrating because you can be an upstanding citizen and still make mistakes, and that's why one of the few times that yes, I would have sued someone because you know what. Just because you might be a good person doesn't mean that you shouldn't be held accountable for making a mistake. And that was kind of a big one, I think. And that was frustrating to me. So really, really, really frustrating. So now, even now, I think back and it causes a little bit of anger and frustration. And it's really hard to be accepting on that one because I think she would have lived longer and had a higher quality of life, you know? So, yeah, it's amazing the things that we think about when we stop to think, right? So, on that note, oh, the dragonfly. I think you guys noticed I had a dragonfly on the intro for those of you that noticed, and I'll have dragonflies again at the outro. It's the reason why dragonflies often bring comfort in the time of loss. So, on my next show, I will talk about dragonflies a bit more because I think that's important, talking about the dragonflies. So, that'll be the next episode. Because, yes, after grief comes the dragonflies because they're a remembrance. So, anyways, thank you for joining. I appreciate everything that you guys do. I'm glad you guys joined us. And by the way, thank you for supporting Brent's family in their time of loss and their time of need. And oh boy, howdy, have you guys stepped up. So thank you again. And yeah, you guys are awesome. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And thanks for joining me here on the Spaces Between. And I'm Paisley Wilde.